All right, let's dive straight into this explainer on the UK's self-driving future. We're going to break down the timeline, the new laws, and that massive liability shift you've probably been hearing about. If you follow this space, you know we're officially moving way past the science fiction phase and distant promises. We are entering an era of rock-solid legal frameworks and imminent commercial trials. So today we're sticking strictly to the data to see how the UK is about to completely redefine what it actually means to quote-unquote drive a car. Because look, commercial pilots from companies like Weave and Uber, they are officially hitting UK streets in spring 2026. Heidi Alexander, the Secretary of State for Transport, basically hit the nail on the head here. The government is actively fast-tracking safety-first tests to drive economic growth. We're talking about actual ride-hailing services navigating complex urban streets like London without a safety driver, far sooner than a lot of people anticipated. Section 1. The Driverless Timeline. So if you're wondering exactly when you might be sitting in the back of a fully autonomous robotaxi, here is the official roadmap. The legal foundation was completely laid out with the Automated Vehicles Act in 2024, signaling that the UK is definitely open for business. Now, the big stepping stone is spring 2026, which is when those advanced commercial pilots launch. This is an iterative approach, giving regulators time to gather crucial safety data and build public trust before the full, comprehensive regulatory rollout happens in the second half of 2027. Which brings us to Section 2, the Automated Vehicles Act 2024. To actually make this 2026 timeline a reality, the UK put together one of the most comprehensive legal frameworks in the world, and it introduces a wild new legal concept called the Authorized Self-Driving Entity, or ASDE for short. This fundamentally changes how we view responsibility on the road. Think of the ASDE as the ultimate digital driver. To get this authorization, a company has to prove they have the absolute capability to keep their vehicles safe. They are the ones constantly monitoring the software to ensure the car is behaving legally out in the wild. Right alongside the ASDE, we've got the No User in Charge, or NUIC, operator. These are the folks handling the non-driving stuff when literally nobody is behind the wheel, like what happens if a fully autonomous vehicle gets a flat tire or gets into a fender bender. While the NUIC operator acts as the physical boots on the ground to resolve it. It's a perfect split of responsibilities. The ASDE handles the artificial intelligence and the dynamic driving, while the NUIC operator handles the physical, real-world reality of the car. Moving on to Section 3, Shifting Legal Liability. Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating, because it answers the absolute biggest question everyone has. Who actually gets the ticket if the car crashes? For over a century, the answer was obviously the person in the driver's seat. But under this new framework, liability shifts entirely. You, as the human, basically become the vehicle's manager. You have to make sure it has its MOT, its tax, and the proper insurance. But the second you engage that authorized self-driving feature, the ASD company assumes total legal liability for how that car dynamically navigates traffic. It's a massive legal safeguard designed specifically to give everyday consumers the confidence to use this tech. Now, if we look at the updated Highway Code rules, they sound almost contradictory at first glance. For instance, you are completely allowed to sit back and watch a movie on the car's built-in screen. But you absolutely cannot scroll on your smartphone, and you definitely can't have a drink. The logic here is brilliant, actually. The built-in screen is programmed to immediately cut out and flash a warning if the car needs you to take back control. If you're looking down, engrossed in your personal phone, you might miss that vital transition demand. So you still have to be sober, alert, and entirely ready to physically take the wheel if the system prompts you. Section 4, Safety and Human Standards. Trust is the absolute currency of this entire rollout. If we as a society are giving up control to machines, we need to know they are safe. The law explicitly requires automated vehicles to drive as well as or better than a careful and competent human driver. And that phrasing, it is highly deliberate. It's not about just matching your average driver who might occasionally speed or roll through a stop sign. A careful and competent driver is the ideal standard. Because unlike us, automated systems don't get tired, they don't get distracted by the radio, and they certainly don't drive under the influence. And the stats brilliantly illustrate exactly why this matters so much. Human error contributes to a staggering 88% of all road collisions. That cost medical services an estimated £2.2 billion in 2023 alone. So the government's motivation isn't just about showing off some cool tech. It's about a massive relief of pressure on emergency services. Every collision prevented is a tragedy avoided, sure, but it also creates real, tangible savings for the NHS. Section 5. The Economic Road Ahead. Beyond the obvious safety benefits, there is a massive, massive financial motivation to accelerate these 2026 commercial pilots. The UK is actively targeting a domestic market for self-driving technology that could be worth an absolutely staggering £42 billion by the year 2035. We are already seeing UK AI firms like Wave securing over $1 billion in investments just to develop this next generation of autonomous vehicles. The government desperately wants to ensure that level of capital and innovation stays right within its borders. And to put that into perspective, that £42 billion market translates directly into opportunity. This burgeoning sector is projected to create 38,000 brand new, highly skilled jobs. And we're not just talking about driving jobs here. We are talking about high-tech roles in software engineering, machine learning, vehicle manufacturing, and remote fleet management. It's positioning the country as a global AI superpower and fundamentally shifting the entire transport workforce. Because we're not just talking about individual cars doing their own thing. The vision here forms part of a much broader transport AI action plan. Imagine an entirely interconnected system, using AI and digital twins to predict traffic flows, perfectly manage smart traffic lights, and seamlessly integrate road, rail, and freight. Self-driving cars are literally just the most visible piece of a giant puzzle, designed to completely optimize how the entire nation moves and reduce congestion across the board. Which brings us to our final section. The future is now. The technology is maturing at breakneck speed. The foundational laws are officially on the books, and those highly anticipated commercial trials are right around the corner. The era of treating driverless cars as some futuristic novelty is completely over. With Uber and Wave putting autonomous vehicles on London streets by spring 2026, the transition is actively happening right now. So the only question left for this explainer is, when the full regulatory rollout arrives in 2027 and the ASDE takes over total legal liability, will you be ready to let go of the wheel? Thanks for tuning in, and definitely keep a close eye on those upcoming pilot programs. They're going to be wild.